Hello, Riverton Park. I just want to quickly walk through this teacher guide for synchronous learning and explain a few of the things in it and point out some key highlights that you really want to zoom in on as you are preparing for a potential synchronous learning day. So as we scroll down here in this guide, the first thing you're going to see is an FAQ from Mr. Kersey. This is a document that has some things that he has specifically addressed concerning Riverton Park. Further in the document, we're going to see a district-wide FAQ that has a lot more details in it that apply to all of our buildings and are kind of a universal thing. But this one is specific to Riverton Park, so make sure you check that out. Here is a document that kind of puts side by side the difference between asynchronous and synchronous e-learning and how that is different. This is intended to be shared with parents, so we'll push this out on social media and on rooms and things like that so that parents have this accessible. You could also print it and send it home if you wanted to do that, but this is really important. So on the synchronous side here, this is the schedule. That's kind of the main key thing. So each class period will meet for about 30 minutes and on the schedule with a little bit of passing period time, if you would, in between. So students can log off of one Google Meet and log into the Google Meet for their next teacher. So that's the schedule. You'll see that it's only half the day. That's in compliance with the state's guidance that we have to do synchronous learning for 50% of the school day with at least 50% of our students in order for it to count. So that's really important. The time to complete, most of what they might do could be completed during that instructional block, that 30-minute block, but you might have an assignment you want them to complete as well after your time period. I just caution you to keep that very minimal and simplistic, even more so than we do with asynchronous, because they're going to spend half their day in live sessions. So we don't want them to then have 6 hours worth of work to do after they've finished those live sessions. So keep it very simple and minimal, but you do need to have some sort of task for them to complete that can be counted for their grade and make sure that we have some teeth behind this e-learning. You should be available even outside this times. During your contract hours, you should be available by email to answer questions. So even after this 1 o'clock period 7 ends, you should still be available until 2:50. And also before that 9 o'clock, you should be available to answer questions by email. Attendance is based on their presence in the session. So if they're there for the whole session, clearly they're present. If they're there for at least half of it, more than half, then they're considered tardy. If they're not present on the session at all, they're considered absence. There is a little gray area in here, like if they're there but it's less than, is that considered tardy? Those are probably good questions to direct to your principal, but I would say that we're going to lead towards grace because there's a lot of things that could be going wrong. Internet connections, etc., stuff in the home, whatever. So I would say that if they connect at all, we're going to at least say that they were tardy, maybe not present for the full lesson. These are just instructions for parents and students in terms of how to get to things. They're going to sign at 9 a.m., go to the classroom for whatever class they have first period, join the Google Meet there. And then second period, they'll cancel out of that one, go into their next one. So one thing I do want to point out to you real quick, let me just go to Google Classroom. I'm just going to bring up a sample class here. Right over here, there should be a Google Meet box with a button that says join. If yours doesn't say join when you go to it, it might say like create meet link or something like that. Make sure you've done that step. You can do it right here, or you can go into the settings area and turn on that Google Meet and make sure it's visible to students so that when they sign into your Google Classroom, they just come over here and click that join meet link. That's a permanent link that's just for the people in this classroom space. So that's really nice because in the beginning we had to constantly create new links and make sure we were sharing the right ones and the right permissions and all that. Now Google Classroom just makes that really simple. Okay, coming back over to here, this is just for the question of what if they don't have internet or they can't connect during the scheduled time for one reason or another. This is just directing parents to contact Mr. Kersey and Mr. Dickey and work that out individually if that's a case. So if you've got a student or a parent that's contacting you and saying, hey, we can't get connected, you can refer them to the principals for help with that. This document you can open up in Google Docs and see the full version of it or print it out for yourself or whatever you want to do. Okay, moving on here. This is what I was just talking to you about making sure that Google Meet is active in your classroom and that you do have a classroom space set up for each of your class periods. I think everyone at Riverton Park pretty much does that. So, but if you don't and you need some help with that, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you out. I think most Riverton Park students are very familiar with classrooms. So even if you've never done it, we could get that set up real quick and be ready to go. The students probably won't have a problem. There's a little video demonstration there for doing that as well. And then here are a couple kind of self-paced get started courses. If you need to know more about Google Classroom or about Google Meet, these two things might be helpful to you, as well as these things. So I made teacher cheat sheets for all the little buttons in Google Meet to let you know what each of those do, what the features are, and what you might want to use them for. Also for presenting your screen. So there's just different things that you can do in terms of those settings. And so this little cheat sheet will help you know what things you should click on for that. You can view it big here, download it, print it, etc. And then there's another version of it. This is more geared towards students and parents of how they're going to get connected, making sure their volume's turned on, that kind of thing. So you might want to print and send this home with students. And of course, we'll also share that out as well. The next things on here are really important. This one, if we haven't done this before, so you might want to prep and practice. If you click on this, you're going to get a chance to make a copy of a document that is basically just a checklist of things to make sure you know how to do. So you can check these things off, make sure you know how to do all these things. And if you get stuck on something, reach out to me and say, hey, I'm stuck on step 8. Can you help me figure out how to do that? And I'll be happy to reach out and help you with those things. Okay, so that's just helping to make sure that you're ready to go with this. The FAQ page I mentioned earlier, this is a universal district-wide FAQ, and we are continuing to add things to this. So if you send me a question later and it's not already covered on this document, I'm probably going to add it because somebody else probably has that same question. So definitely before our first Synchronous Day, look through this document. You just click on each of these little carrots to the side to open this up and see what the answer is. But make sure you read through this because there may be questions in here that you haven't even thought of, but it would be really good to make sure that you know our universal district-wide answer for those things. Okay, the rest of the stuff in this guide is all kind of 201 level stuff. Just different things about how you can use annotation tools within Google Meet as you're teaching a lesson and sharing your screen. You can use Cami for that purpose a lot. If you have a document camera and you think we might have a synchronous learning day coming up, you might want to take it home because maybe that would be really helpful. You can connect it and use it within Google Meet to just like you would in the classroom. So if you have a document camera, that might be helpful there. One quick tip, as somebody who has done a lot of virtual teaching, you might want to consider a welcome slide to have up and being shared when students are connecting that just kind of tells them what they need to do, like make sure your mic is muted so we don't have total chaos in the audio going on as everyone's coming into this class. Turn on your camera. It's definitely better engagement when you can see the students. We're not going to force them to do that for a number of reasons, but definitely best practice to have their camera on and letting them know that they can raise their hand if they have a question and want to unmute their mic. So something like this, you can click this and make a copy of my slide and then adjust it for yourself if you want to do that. So that's just a pro tip for you there. And then we have 3 people, myself included, but Corey spent an entire year teaching online. So he has a lot of experience with that. And Jenna is currently teaching little classes here and there that she has experience with as well. So if you want to reach out to anybody, and there may be other people on our staff as too that I don't know about, but if you want to reach out to those of us who have done this with students, please do that. We'll be happy to give you tips. I've had a few teachers send me like what their plan is for Synchronous, and I can kind of look over it and give them some feedback as to whether I think that's going to go well or not. I'd be happy to do that for you if that's helpful and making you feel more secure in approaching this. And then during Synchronous Learning Day, I will be live on Awaken Learning Classroom. Everyone should be a part of this. This is where I have all that EdTech PD resources available. So I'll be on the Google Meet that's associated with that classroom live from 9 a.m. to 1. if you want to hop on and get some help with anything. I'll also be available by email outside of those times. And if you want to hop on a Google Meet during those times, we can do that too. But I'll have this just live and active and waiting to help anyone who might need some help throughout the day. So let me know if there's anything I can do to assist you as we prepare for a potential synchronous learning day.